What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today, in the world of indie games, we're going to be doing a checkup on a game that I enjoyed very much the last time we played it, a little over a year ago. This is a little title called Saelig, and it is what would happen if you took the guild and you put it inside a low medieval English setting in like West Saix and all those kinds of places. Now Wessex, Northumbria, that kind of stuff. And it is a sprawling sandbox replayable game where you can just about do anything you want. So if you enjoy games like Kenshi, this might be one of those games that's worth looking into for you. Today we're going to play the game for about 30 minutes. We're going to see if it's something you wanted to add to your wish list, or if it's one of those games you would rather not play for yourself. That's perfectly fine too. The game is in early access, but it gets frequent updates. The developer has been working on this thing for like a decade. So if you're a big fan of medieval sandboxes or any type of sandbox gameplay, or the Guild 1, the Guild 2, we won't talk about the Guild 3, this may be a title for you to keep your eye on. It also kind of has RuneScape-y vibes, in all honesty, from what I've seen. And so let's get to it. If after watching this you wanted to get the game for yourself, I got a link for you that goes down to the early access of the game so that you can check that out on Steam. Pretty good chance, given how long this game has been out, that it probably is on steep discount right now as far as the Steam Winter Sale goes. But you can find that link down there. You can also find a bunch of other links to things like my Discord and other ways that you can support or otherwise connect with me as a content creator. But let's dive on into it. As previously mentioned, Saelig is one of those games where there's not really a lot of storyline, there's not really a lot of guidance. You're doing your own thing inside this title. My character, as of right now, is brand new. I've actually only been in game for about a year, but I did make it so that my years play much longer. My average year right now in game is about an hour to an hour and a half, depending on how much I'm pausing and how much I'm doing little maintenance tasks. And at the beginning of the game, if you've ever played old RPGs like Ultima or whatever else, this game is going to give you a series of questions about your character's history, what your background is, who your parents were, all that kind of stuff, which are going to determine your starting skills. Skills don't really come into themselves until they hit around level 20, so I'm not super good at a lot of things, but I am incredible at archery, which means that if combat happens, because there are raids on the map, the Danes will occasionally show up and try to steal from all the villages. I can fight, I can shoot arrows while other people are tanking and staying in melee combat. I'm a little bit, I'm almost to the point at mining where I'm somewhat, I guess, competent. When it comes to making firewood and wood, I'm getting towards level 20, which is where I consider the character to be somewhat proficient at that thing. Skinning and butchering I'm not super great at, but really I've just been focusing on hunting, foraging, and gathering, being kind of like a ranger, a man of the wilds who goes out every single day and finds things that the market might need in order to make sure that my neighbors have food and hides for clothing and things like that. But there is no limitation on what you can do inside of this title. You can basically do whatever the hell you want. Every single skill in the game is accessible to every single character in the game, whether or not you even have a level in it in the first place. On this playthrough, I wasn't very good at fishing. I started out, I think, with fishing like not even listed on my character sheet, and then I just fished the entire winter because in wintertime there's not really a whole lot of foraging, and there's not really a whole lot of hunting, and so I just fished for the entire winter, and now I'm like a level 10 fisherman. This is a very free-form game where you can do whatever you want at the drop of the hat, and you kind of just want to use the natural cycle of the year going by to decide what it is you're going to work on a day-to-day basis. From there, you can buy property. This is the city of Thrimswald. It's where we're from. My house is over on this side. You can purchase property. You can buy up workshops and things of that nature. You can hire employees that will work inside of your various I suppose, foundries and blacksmithies and tanneries, trying to make as much money as possible and ultimately become kind of like a baron of this area, someone that's calling the shots. For me personally right now, I don't really have a lot of property to be spoken of. I own this house, I own this house right here, and I own the house next door. That's all I've been able to afford so far, but I do have a pet fox that I found while I was out hunting. I don't know, I found him inside of a hollowed out log, and he's my little buddy now. I can't really do anything with him. I can pet him, so like, let's pet the fox here. There you go. I'm gonna pet up the fox, and Romulus loves me, I guess. I think I also need to feed him, but I don't really have like a meter or anything else that tells me what I'm supposed to be feeding him. Romulus is now very happy. Oh, this lady's talking to me right here. Ayo, Linda. Who's Aelinda? She's a 52-year-old lady from my town. Oh, and she's also one of the elders of the village, so she's kind of like a shot caller around here. It's kind of like if you've ever played the guild before, you can become a judge or you can become a magistrate, which gives you a huge amount of power inside the city, and if you choose to be corrupt, which you can in this game as well, you can use that power of political office to really ramp up the corruption to Tammany Hall levels. There's not a whole lot left for me to do during the day right now, so I'm just going to go to sleep, and I will catch you guys in the morning. It's right at the beginning of my second year of spring, and so I'll try to get my energy back. We'll go back out and we'll see what activities we can get underway before the end of the video. Inside my house, you can have storage. The sum total of all my belongings is that I've got 8 stacks of wood right now, because eventually I'm going to kick my tenant out of that hut and I'm going to convert it into a tannery. So I need to have enough wood in order to make that happen. There's all kinds of crafting and construction in this game to keep you busy along the way, which will then allow me to process these hides into leather, which will convert them into an item that's worth 100 silver at a time, and also can be sold to leather workers and tailors and things of that nature to make clothing, so that I can make it through the winter without a coldness debuff, because you can get diseases and whatnot if you're too cold. I've got a magic bone charm over here. If I use this, it'll just give me a free level up to one of my skills, and I've got 15 meat stored up because my racket that I work with right now is that I save up meat until winter when there's no animals, because there's other hunters inside the village. And right now this game has a dynamic economy, so if I go to the market, the prices on things go up and down based on what's available and what the city has. And so I find that if you hold on to all of your wood and you hold on to all of your meat up until winter arrives, you can actually get double the price on a lot of this stuff just because the market runs out and people are forced to buy other things. You can also get add-ons for your house right here, so if you're interested in kind of customizing where you live at, I can click on my house and there's a couple little buttons down here. You can upgrade your house, which will give you a new storage slot or whatever else. These are the basic upgrades that you can add to the house as it exists right now. So I could get a fireplace. Having a fireplace means that I don't get a coldness debuff while I'm sleeping inside my house, which lowers the chance that I'm going to get sick. I could buy nice beds for my home. If I bought those, you get a buff every single time you sleep uninterrupted for like a big chunk of time. That can be very helpful while you're out and about. If there's criminals and you're having problem with law enforcement inside the town, like you don't have enough guards or enough patrolmen, you can build a fence, which makes it much more likely that bandits or thieves will break into your house and steal your stuff. You can upgrade your house to a wattle and daub house, which does change the graphic from what I remember, and then it makes you much more fire resistant, so if there's a fire in the village, maybe it won't jump to your house. I've already got a butcher's table. You can see that out back because that's going to be super valuable for anybody that's a woodsman or like a yeoman like I am. You can also build a garden, which is basically a miniaturized version of a farm that you can send your guy to work in it, and per X amount of hours, it'll just spit out vegetables and eggs and fruit and things like that into your village inventory. That way you can take them to market and sell it, or you can use them to craft more complex dishes. And then on top of that, you can also take the plot development. So there's a house on this plot right now, but these are all the different buildings in the game that you can convert a house into, and that's what I'm planning on doing over on this side with this hut. After I get that done, my plan is to make a tannery or a leather worker's shop. That way I can start out with tailoring and start supplying clothing to people, because clothing is intensely valuable in this game. And the good news is summer has arrived, which gives us a new money-making opportunity. So there's fruit patches and there's vegetable patches and things that are all over the map. We could go fishing, but I find that fruit farms pretty quickly, especially because I have this small cart over here. If I bring my hand cart with me, I can load it up with fruit, and if we get 20 or 30 fruit, that should be enough money to make like $300, or I guess enough product to make like $300, which would then give me enough that I could potentially buy an expansion for the house, because I think we need a fireplace pretty badly before we get to the next part of winter. So now that the sun will be coming up pretty shortly, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Let's haul our cart real quick. And now that I've got my cart under my control, we're just going to come over here to this fruit bush, and we're going to give it a go. Now, I don't know what my fruit harvesting is doing right now. Let me go to my character sheet very rapidly. So I've got a 16 in fruit harvesting, 4 or 5 more levels, and we'll actually be pretty good at it, and we should be able to mash out a lot of fruit in one afternoon. The other benefit here is that if we stockpile this fruit until winter, the fruit bushes, they adhere to the seasonal rotation, and so these are not harvestable outside of summer and also fall. And so once we get to winter, all the fruit in the village is going to run out after a day or two, and so we should be able to, like, I guess, poach really good prices for getting this done. Let's go ahead and we will harvest over here, and we'll kind of see how it goes. Morning has arrived, and we've already got pockets full of fruit, but I do need my cart to be a little bit closer because I can't access its storage from back here. You can upgrade your cart and make it better if you want to. So for like 300 bucks, I could make the inventory size larger and give myself a third slot. I think I will do that just because it makes my life a little bit easier. And then I'll give the forage command, and I should be able to offload everything into the cart from here. And if we manage to get ourselves a full 30 stack of fruit, because I think each of these slots takes 10 fruit, I should be able to make a decent amount of scratch today to offset that expenditure. There are some nice little visual things that happen in this game. So for example, as you load goods on your cart, it actually adds baskets onto the back to make it look like it's carrying things around. I think we're going to have to do some wood chopping pretty soon too, but I lucked out at the beginning of the game because, oh, we got 4 more fruit ready to rock, huh? Okay. Let's get that all nice and stored up. I got lucky at the beginning of the game, and the opening market had bows and axes available for sale. On some maps, you get really, really unlucky at the beginning of the game because this game not only has like 5 different maps that you can play on, it also has, oh, they stack up to 15. Even better. Let's just keep this going all day till the sun goes down. We'll see what kind of profit we can get out of it. But as I was saying, I think I'm going to need to chop some wood at some point just to ensure that I've got enough supply on me. You can make decent amounts of money chopping wood into firewood as well, but I don't know. I haven't gotten around to it yet. I'm a man about the woods. That's how I live my life. At some point, I'm going to have to get enough money together for a dowry and find myself a wife, because your character can get older and die in this game, and then your heirs take over where you left off. Luckily, it's only been a year, and I'm only 19 years old. So for medieval times, I'm probably about 5 years behind the curve for getting married, but I'm not going to end up alone. At least that's what I keep telling myself. As far as survival mechanics go, you do have to watch out for your character's health, your hunger, and also your energy as you go along. You'll get consistently worse and worse and worse debuffs if you don't pay attention to that stuff. And we got 16 fruit right there, so that's looking, we got like 41 fruit right now. We made like 300 bucks today just foraging around. That's good for us. Well, the bush has been picked clean. There's no more fruit on the bush itself. One thing you need to learn about this game is that proximity is everything. So you can access just about anything in the game that stores objects or otherwise just by making sure that you're close to it. It'll give you a list of things that you can dump your storage into up at the top right there. Let's take this stuff on back to market. We'll sell it on off because I don't really need it. Like, I've got plenty of food back at the house, although I suppose I'll be eating through my meat supply for the winter that I was planning on pawning off on people if I do that. I've also got some carcasses and things that I need to process, but unfortunately we're tired after a long day's labor absolutely stripping the fruit off of a bush, so we'll get this sold real quick, and then we'll figure out what we want to do next. So now that we're inside the market, this is pretty easy to pull off. We're just going to open up the market menu, and then I got to go to my cart. We'll open up the market over here, and we're just going to offload this stuff for as much money as I can get. Not bad. We made a little bit of money. We made like 300 bucks, which doesn't seem like much, but the entire upgrade to our cart costed that. So we managed to get it changed off. Everyone in this game has their own desires and needs and things that they're trying to do. Characters that can't get enough money might turn to crime, or they might become bards if their entertainment skill is high enough, or they might become beggars around town. You can get a job in this game too. Like, if you don't want to be a rugged individualist, kind of doing your own thing like my character is out in the woods, you can just join someone else's job. So for example, we could see a list of jobs that are available right here. You can put out a request and let people know that you're looking for work. Somebody might take pity on you, but if there were jobs, they're usually listed on this side. But pay attention to where the job is at, because some jobs can be on neighboring cities. Now, our current map is a sandbox map, so it starts out with one fully built city with all the plots mostly taken up, but you'll see that there's other plots around where you can start new villages as well. Maybe I'll show you in the morning. It's kind of like dark and foggy right now due to the time of day. Since we woke up a little bit early, I kind of feel like, let me offload this carcass. The carcass is basically like a critical hit that you get when you are butchering. So if you're quartering out an animal that you hunted, usually you get a hide or you get a meat if you're unsuccessful based on your butchering skill. Occasionally, though, you will get a carcass if you succeed at the dice roll based on your level at butchering, and the carcass is something that we can process on out into better stuff. And so I'll put my guy to work real quick, and you'll see that he's on the butchering table right now, and this little progress meter will start going up until morning gets here, at which point this will yield something. I don't know what we're going to get out of it just yet, but we will get something out of it. It actually took me all day to quarter out this body. I don't know what we got out of it, but it looks like we got a 6 stack of meat, it looks like we got a hide, and it looks like we got a charm. Charms are a magic item. If you drag them into this charm slot right here, the charm slot will make it so that you get some kind of bonus. So there are charms that make you level up your skills faster. There are charms, the ones that I have are valuable because they automatically level up one of your skills. And so I could technically spam these on myself if I wanted to. So if I put them in my pockets right there, I could take that and throw it on me. And it looks like I got better at archery. And it looks like I got better at chopping down trees. And so those are actually both really useful to me. And it looks like that gave me a level in wood chopping. So that'll be nice. I'll definitely take that. I did want to look at my property over here. And I wanted to figure out how bad it's going to be in order to turn this thing into a... Well, it looks like this one over here, what I wanted to do was turn it into a tannery since I can process stuff inside my house. I don't know if this butcher shop is more efficient than the one that I have just out back outside my house at the moment, but we're going to need to buy a new house in that case. Unfortunately, I think most of the houses in town are taken at this point. At the beginning of the game, a lot of the houses will be empty, but we do have plots over here. So technically I could buy one of these plots. What's a plot cost me? So the owner does not like you enough to consider an offer for the plot. Oh, the Cridlins already own it. Damn it. So this plot right here is 1,500 silver. It'll increase my tax burden, and I've got to build something on top of it after that, which is also going to cost me even more money. But it does look like there's a number of plots still open inside of town so that I'm not relying on other people to get stuff done. I don't really need a hut. I need an actual house. I think with the money we also made, it's going to piss off the neighbors, but if we could build a tannery inside of here, that'd be really good. And I think that's one of the upgrades, is that I can get a small personal tanning rack. Yeah, I can cure leather at home for 300 silver. Let's do that real quick, because we just made that money anyways. And that'll allow me to convert hides. I'm not very good at this, so there's a chance that it'll fail, but I can convert hides into actual leathers, which have more value. It increases the value by about 30% just by doing a little bit of labor, but it'll probably take us the better part of the entire day to get that done. From there, once I've got a nice stockpile of leather, I'll start looking into buying one of these houses that's up for sale on the other side of town, and then we'll convert that into a leather working shop. That way I can start manufacturing clothes, backpacks, boots, all that kind of fun stuff, cobblery and things of that nature, so that people will have a high market item that we can sell inside of a developing market that doesn't have access to those things just yet. As it stands right now, oh, a merchant camp moved in. What's in the merchant camp? The Crossroads Merchant Camp. What are they selling this year? It's kind of exciting whenever the merchants from neighboring kingdoms come out here, because they have things you can't get inside of your normal area of town. They do have carcasses, and at 68 bucks a pop, I bet you we make more money buying carcasses from them than we do trying to go and get them by ourselves. They're both selling for 68 due to just the amount of them that are available inside this like quadrant of town, but I need to feed myself. That would be an important thing to do right now. So let me go ahead and do that. They auto-eat most of the time, but I can shove food in there real quick in order to fill up the meter, and then we'll be well fed for a little bit. Oh, you get 2 of them whenever you process this. So you're actually getting, instead of 40 value, you're ending up with 120 value. It's tripling the value of the item. Very nice. And once you get more family members, they can work on this stuff too. So you'll see on this side, we have family. If we had like a wife and kids, they would be listed alongside the next side to us, and we can give them orders the exact same way, sort of RimWorld style, that we're giving our character orders, so that as you have a larger family, this game follows reality, which was, in ancient times, it was a good idea to have a ton of kids, not only because half of them were going to die of smallpox or something before they got to the age of 5 years old, but also because it increases your labor force and it makes your family more successful. If all of your children and your wife are also sort of like apprenticing and doing the same things that you're doing inside the shop, it increases your output. The morning is dawned and it's time for us to get back to it. I have a couple things that I'd like to do today. I think what I will do is, given the relative value of leather, I think it's a good idea if we go back out and hunt, because we only have 2 more days until winter gets here. And once winter arrives, I won't be able to get any more animals until we get back to spring, until that has springed its way back into our life. And so I'm going to scan around the fields for a little bit and see if I can find some game. There is no easy way to find game in this game. You've just got to kind of like look around for it. Is my guy also moving? He should be moving right now. Occasionally, what will happen is pathfinding can be a little bit wonky with this game. Sometimes I'll tell my guy to go do something, and then I'll find him standing like blankly staring at a tree. So make sure you keep an eye on your character from time to time, because pathfinding is definitely something in this game that could use a little bit of work. Well, we've got a couple of deer over here. If we luck out and we get the crit roll for the carcasses, I'll save myself money. So I'm going to bring my character over here. I wanted to buy a backpack. I was hoping when the merchant camp came back. Last year they had a backpack, but it was like 600 bucks, and I couldn't afford it. Like, I could afford it, but it would have been a big financial risk if I didn't come up with some kind of financial windfall in the near future. So our character's rolling up on the hunting spot right now. That means we can reduce the speed of the game on down. And let's take that buck right there first. What's he got going on? Like an 8-pointer? That's a good buck right there. Oh, we got him. You can see what's happening up in this top left-hand corner. So we missed our first shot and we hit him with the second shot. As a warning, if you're planning on hunting, for the love of God, make sure you have more than 30 archery skill. If your character does not have that, he will spend the entire day chasing one deer, firing and missing over and over and over again, like hundreds of times. A lot of the skills, it doesn't matter if you're super good at them. When it comes to archery, it does matter if you're good at them. So we were unsuccessful at butchering, but we were successful at skinning. So we got a hide. That's good. So that's 120 bucks we just made off of another leather. I'm probably going to stockpile my leather for when I get my leather working shop, but I haven't really decided yet. There's another buck over there. So any day where you get 2 bucks in one morning is a pretty good hunt. Hey, we got him with that long shot. That's a pretty good arrow shot right there, brother. If you're having trouble looking for game from up above the tree line, you can zoom in low like this right here and just look around. There's also a first-person mode you can put yourself in with your character, but I don't think you get to control the archery like FPS style or anything else like that. But you can see a deer right there from this angle. Usually they're underneath the tree cover. We failed at butchering again, but we were successful at skinning. Nothing stacks inside of our personal inventory, but our character is quite hungry right now. So I'll just go ahead and load up on food real quick to clear out inventory space, and I think we'll probably try to go get that deer, and then we'll head home. Your tiredness goes down based on a skill that your character has called athleticism, and you'll find that when you have high energy levels, your character can run and get around better, and when you don't, he walks slowly, and so keep an eye on your meters. It's going to be important for your productivity throughout the day. Ooh, there's a couple more deer over there. If I get really greedy, I might be able to go get them. I didn't bring my cart with me, though. My cart would let me stack all this stuff up, because nothing inside your pocket stacks, like I said. Only things inside of storages stack, so like a warehouse, a shed, a cart. All of those things give you stackability, which can be very helpful. Missed with that arrow. Hopefully gets him with this next one. Hit him. Yeah, you got him. Down he goes. Let's go see what our yield is. We successfully retrieved the carcass off of that one, which is great, because that means when we go back to skin it on a table, we'll have a lot more efficiency. I was hoping we would pick up a carcass today. On the way back home, where is the merchants at the crossroads? So the merchant tent is over here. Where am I in relation to the merchant tent? How far out are they? Oh, they're in a weird spot this year. Last year they were down in the valley. I was hoping they'd perch up on the same spot so that I could buy out all of their carcasses on the way back home. And then in the winter, I would spend the entire winter processing carcasses and processing hides into leather. That way, when we come back into spring, I could get myself a big 800, 900, 1,000 silver infusion of cash. Is there anything I can hunt on the way back home? There is a horse trader on the map right now, but I've never bought a horse in this game. But that does seem like something that would be incredibly useful. Like, being able to get around the map faster and chase down game faster with a horse would be great. I don't know if you can do horse archery in this game, but good lord, that would actually be a major come up. Even just using the horse for transit in between locations would be good. But there are events that happen on the map, things like the horse trader coming out, things like the merchants arriving, things like Danish invasions and stuff like that will crop up from time to time, and you'll just have to deal with that as things go along. Some of them will be opportunities. Some of them will be kind of a pain and be a problem that needs to be resolved violently. It just sort of depends what you get. I didn't mention it, but just like in the guild, you can also go into all these buildings. Every single one of them is accessible. So, for example, you can see me here sleeping on the bed as the fox mischievously sniffs my booty hole. I don't know. Sleep meter's been fully restored, so no time like the present. I'm going to go to the market real quick, and I'm going to buy out all of their bodies, their carcasses. So I'll take that carcass, and I will also take the small carcasses because I'm curious what they yield when I butcher them. And so, like, I'm stocking up for winter right now. There's not really a whole lot of stuff to do in winter. It's kind of like the boring season in this game. And so I'm trying to make sure that I have lots of things to work on during the winter, because last winter I mostly just stood around and flirted with girls the entire time because there was nothing else to do. Like, you can't hunt, you can't forage. I chopped wood for a little while just to make enough money so that my debts wouldn't pile up. You do have to pay taxes every day in this game for every property that you own. And so I'm renting out one of them right now, which gets rid of that property's taxes and half of my taxes for this house, but I'm still paying like 15 bucks a day in order to get things done. We are going to need more storage space as well. I don't think there's any way around that. So in the case of all of this wood, let's take the wood, and I'm going to actually haul the cart. And we're going to take the wood to market and sell it, because, like, in the winter I can still chop wood, which will let me farm it up so that I can make my tannery for later on in the future. But for now, we will take 8 woods, and I'll probably sell the leather as well, just so we get a nice cash infusion, because I've been spending a lot of money lately, and I don't like this number to go down below 1,000. I'm a financially responsible person, okay? I don't like to have a lot of debts piled up. I don't like to have liabilities in my life. They make me feel stressed deep down inside my tummy guts. Now that we're pulling into the market, let me see what I can get paid here for this stuff that I have on me. So we're going to make like 240 bucks plus some change. So like 300 bucks off the wood. That's good. I don't know why wood's so expensive in this village. Oh, it only sold one? Sell it all. There you go. All right, so we made a little over 200 right there. And then for the leathers, those are worth 60 a piece. We made 374 bucks off of that. So we're right back where we started after buying upgrades. Good, because my house storage needs to be upgraded. And this game takes it into account like realism mode too, where he's leaving the cart behind. Sometimes I find the carts to be overly fiddly and requiring a little bit more clicking and playing around with than I normally need to. And I think the next upgrade we're going to need for our house is going to be the addition of more storage space. So I can do that with this right here, I think. So we get a new storage slot, and it increases our stack sizes. That explains why our cart was carrying so much stuff. Yeah, I'll pay the 300 to get another slot of inventory for my house. The good news is here, if you wind up destitute and you need to sell your home, This game functions on real-world logic. The upgrades that you're making to your house day after day, they increase the value of your house. And so, keep that in mind as well. Do I have the cart with me? Let's haul the cart, and let's see if we can go grab some fruit before the winter wipes out all of our goodies. There's a fruit patch over here. We'll go for this one. And pulling up to the fruit patch, hopefully this one hasn't been picked clean by all of our neighbors. The one that's over by the gates that we were all up on earlier, that one a bunch of villagers have been going to it because it's the closest one, and so it ran out of fruit like 3 hours after I started harvesting it. Hopefully they haven't gotten to this one yet because I want the fruits. I'm going to take this one all the way up to midnight because this is my last opportunity to get fruit. The second we hit 12 on the clock, it's going to turn into winter and it's going to start snowing like crazy and we're going to get a coldness debuff. Hopefully I can buy a suit of clothes this year. That'd be the best situation. Put those all on there and then keep foraging, my man. We're not done here yet. This is the last fruit of fall. Ah, we kicked it. We kicked the bush. It's all dead now. Well, that's the last fruit of spring, so let's go, I'm sorry, the last fruit of summer and fall. So let's take these things back home. We'll offload them in the house. And these guys right here, I'm actually going to sit on until economic conditions make it worthwhile to sell that stuff. $8 a pop is not bad, don't get me wrong, but 10 or 11 bucks a pop would be even better. And by the last day of winter, I think that's where we'll be at, where people are getting hungry. They need to get some citrus in their system to avoid getting pirate diseases. And so I will be the fruit baron once that occurs. And yeah, you can see the snow falling right there. It's about to get real murky out here. There's also a lot of skullduggery you can do inside this game. So like you can burn people's houses down, you can rob people, you can steal from people. And so if there's someone, for example, another hunter in the village, you can figure out where their house is at. And if they keep flooding the market with hides and meat and messing up your prices, you can burn down their house. And then they'll be forced to buy and build somewhere else until eventually they go destitute if you keep doing it. However, there is crime and punishment, so if you get caught burning a guy's house down, they're going to put you inside the punishment pit. I don't know where the punishment pit is here in town. There should be a punishment pit around somewhere. It's basically a big hole in the ground they throw you into, like, half freeze to death until you serve out your sentence. There it is, punishment pit. That's where you go if you're a criminal. You're going to spend a lot more time over there if you're a thief or if you are running a thieves guild or anything else like that. Your characters are pretty frequently going to get chucked inside the hooskow. And so you can do crime and you can sort of like come up with these Machiavellian machinations to mess with your neighbors if you want to. The price on fruit actually floored out now that winter is here. So we'll see what happens with it. For right now, I need to process a number of these. Yeah, I need to process a number of these carcasses. So let's go ahead and do that for the rest of winter. But having played the game for 3 or 4 hours after not playing it for a year, because I binge played this game a year ago for a bunch of hours, my observations about the current build are as such. The pathfinding, that's something that needs to be worked on. Occasionally your character just seems to get lost in the sauce. It doesn't happen all the time, and you will figure out the best practices to make sure that it doesn't happen to you, but that's one area where the game's particularly weak. Things like load screens when you go into houses, even though they're just a flicker if you're on a solid state drive, I feel like there's got to be a way to get that to be seamless, but I guess that would come down to the engine or whatever else. The game has been quite crashy for me. I think it's crashed 2 or 3 times while I've been playing it. I got up at like 10 o'clock this morning, and I started recording the video at 3. So I played for about 5 hours, and I think it crashed twice during that time. The good news is the game does have an internal autosave that will save every single time you hit midnight. The most amount of effort I've ever lost, it seemed the crash for me seemed to be linked to what happens when a Danish invasion spawns. And so the game has crashed pretty much every time the Danes have invaded. It didn't do it one time, but whenever the Danes seem to arrive, the game seems to crash. And so that'll be one thing that you kind of want to keep an eye out on. I haven't lost that much progress, like at most 5 minutes of gameplay, but the crashiness does need to be looked into. And then from there, I would say that the game's UI is kind of strictly utilitarian as the game stands right now. The UI of the game is nothing to write home about. It's a little bit clunky, and it does take you some time to get used to it. However, it's not that big of an issue, but I feel like the game could have a snappier, more responsive UI while playing on through it. But if those things are okay with you, I will tell you that this is one of those games that you can sink an utterly absurd amount of hours into. There are a lot of projects, there are a lot of crafting chains, there's a lot of ways that you can take this sandbox and just file it down into your own image and put your mark on the world. And so I've been digging the game a ton. They've done a bunch of updates this year since the last time I played the game. I've noticed that a lot of things have been moved around and reorganized. Different nodes and things that used to exist no longer exist and have been split into different nodes for whatever logical reason. I assume it had to happen for the development of the game. So the developers are hammering away on this title right now in order to turn it into something special, since the guild has been AWOL for years after the Guild 3 tanked. It's not likely that we're going to see a whole lot of guild-related content going forward. And so I guess that's kind of like life as it stands right now. And I'm glad that something else is stepping into that gap in order to make something along the lines of The Guild, which is like one of my favorite games of all time, The Guild 2. I remember Jeff Major was the one that turned me onto that game, a Let's Player back in the day that I was friends with, but he retired back to the world of normies that have normal jobs, and so we don't see Jeff too much anymore, but that was one of those games he showed to me, just like, I think, Age of Pirates or World of Pirate. What was the name of that game that he played up on there? I love that game, too, with a couple of the community patches. But my name is Splattercat. I sift through the pile to find what's worthwhile in the world of indie games every single day so you don't have to. Bit of a slow burner today, but that does not mean that it's a bad game. In fact, to me, that seems to make it much more satisfying whenever it is that I accomplish the thing that I want to accomplish. For now, I think it's time for me to go, and I think we were having a production chain stall right there, too. It'll let me craft the stuff even if you don't have space in your inventory to do it, and so I think that's what went wrong right there. My name is Splattercat, as mentioned. I will see you all later. Thank you for hanging out with me today. Hopefully you like this game as well. Currently, the game is $11, and given the fact that you can get dozens and dozens and dozens of hours of one playthrough in this game before even touching any of the other maps and fun stuff that you can play around with, there's a lot of variety, there's a lot of replayability, and there's a lot of good stuff here. I'll see y'all later. That's all I got, folks. Bye.